All right, there we go. How's it going? Yo, yo, yo. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to this Monday show. Oh wow, look at the gold chain behind us. Just you can see the reflection off the light there. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. T-Will got that bad boy. How about that? It's inaugural. It's inaugural. What do we want to call it? Showing, and it goes to Coach T-Will. We got the old school chain. It's weighing down the microphone, but we got it up. Why not? We're just, you know what? Respect the drip. Respect the gold chain drip. It's everywhere. All right. Do me a favor. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We've got a lot of stuff, as you can see on your screen. We got a lot of stuff to discuss. Put it on. We might put it on later. We might just do that. Maybe I'll put it on later. You can't really see it in the shot. It's supposed to stay like right here. There we go. There we go. I don't know. That's going to be a little distracting. All right. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I don't know. Whatever. Shout out to the sponsor, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results. They've got your back. Operating out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. 501-244-3667. Again, that's Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. We're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to run their ad a little bit later in the show. We had a couple things going on here all at once. OBS was being weird. It was freezing up. It wasn't letting me go through my transition. So you probably saw at the beginning when we were sharing the pictures, the photographs of some folks who went to the game, which I thought was really cool. But it was like it was freezing up. I don't know, y'all. And now one of my fan photos is completely gone. No, there it goes. Okay. But yeah, here's some pictures. Check that out. These are some folks I don't even know who. I guess I follow this guy on Facebook or whatever. What an environment, man! What an atmosphere! Shout out to Matt Chapman. There you go. Looks like him and his family there. Maybe he watches the show. I don't know, but hey, man, lovely family there. Here's another one. This is Hayden Savage. Pretty cool. And then what's this one? Oh, this is my cousin there in the middle. That's my cousin David. He's got a friend that's a Tennessee fan. If I could figure out which one. There we go. Put it up there on the top. I think they had a blast. Look at that, man. Pandemonium. Then we got another one. There he is, and I hope they don't mind me. I mean, listen, you share this on Facebook. You're sharing it with the world. But, yeah, that's my cousin there on the right, David Bell. I think his buddy's name is Mitch. I've heard he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Don't hold it against him that he's a Tennessee Vol fan, especially considering Arkansas has just kind of had their number the last several times they've played. It's kind of been a little nuts. A little crazy. Listen, I will take ownership. I was wrong. I did pick Arkansas to cover, but I did not think Arkansas would win that game, and they proved a lot of people wrong. We have a poll up if you guys haven't already. Yeah, see now OBS wants to cooperate. Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. We've got a poll up there. Look on your screen. Come be a part of it. Will Arkansas be ranked at some point this year? 77% of you say yes. 23% of you say no. Keeping the ball away from Tennessee was huge. Time of possession. That's right. That's right. Against teams like that. And then it helps when you run a little something they haven't seen from you when they're watching film. You heard Sam Pittman in the post game. He said that they had looked at Oklahoma. They watched a little bit of Oklahoma film. And again, if you're a Patreon supporter, if you read Enemy Insider, we talked a little bit about what Oklahoma did that maybe kind of I mean, clearly it's what Sam saw. We talked about how their safeties, were playing up tight. We went into a little bit of that and what Arkansas needed to do. I also said you got to get in Nico's face, and that is exactly what they did. And they were successful in throwing him off. They ruined the timing between Nico and his receivers. So it obviously had a big effect on Nico and the offense. Threw him off rhythm. They were able to run the ball pretty effectively to some degree. It is Tennessee. You're not gonna completely stop that offense. Let's see. You almost fought a fan. Who almost fought a fan? Respect the drip, says Lone Sportsman. Yo, I rushed the field. Almost got in a fight with a Tennessee fan. Laugh out loud. Bling bling, says Ty Brandon. First game I was unable to watch, and we won, says Noble Villain. I think I'm banned from watching games the rest of the year. I think so. Yeah. I think so, Noble. Don't watch another game. TG's best game and still has room for improvement. He's going to be scary, says the other Mike. Oh, boy. You know what's funny is last Monday, I'm reading over my Monday notes from last week, and the name of that video, the name of that live show was Deja Vu, Razorbacks versus A&M. And here we are. Oh, how much can change in just a single week? It's actually kind of refreshing, So is this.
Ready, Hood? Uh-oh. No.
That video cracks me up. I don't know why. Oh, I love it. It's so funny. Oh.
Ready, Hood? Uh-oh. No.
I'm going to play that randomly throughout the whole show today. Just be prepared. Just be prepared. You don't know what's going to happen. All right. We do have to do our we got to do the giveaways for Patreon supporters for the month of September. Don't know. We're going to try and get that done. I would like to do it later tonight. So if you are a Patreon supporter, remember, you don't have to be there. It's only cool if you're there. But we might do something probably on a separate live stream. But we may make it to where only Discord people can join it. I don't know. That way you guys know where to be and what you could see and see who wins these cards. All right. Well, let's first get started off with around the SEC. All the upsets this weekend, incredible. Man, this weekend is why you're a college football fan. Yeah. It's why you're a college football fan. Absolutely. Alabama loses to Vanderbilt. Number 1, Alabama. Vanderbilt is 0 for 10. By the way, I would have guessed Vanderbilt played more number 1 teams. Just 10? I mean, I know for the longest time they were in the SEC East. In the SEC East, outside of Georgia, periodically Florida, not a lot of number 1 shots over there, right? Over here in the West, you've had Alabama, LSU, Auburn, hell, Mississippi State. Remember that when Dan Mullins was there? He got him to number 1 for 3 or 4 weeks? They were the number 1 team in the country. Hell of a ball coach at Mississippi State, man. Sometimes you just work out at certain jobs, kind of like Barry Odom over at UNLV, right? I mean, I realize they lost to Cuse, but that just feels like a good fit. Maybe Barry Odom should just stay there. Sometimes you just work out. Maybe Rhett Lashley at SMU. Maybe just stay there. Sometimes it's just a good fit. You move on and, Chad Morris, I don't know, 8th grade football in Texas. I mean, have at it. Tennessee losing to Arkansas. That's number 4 Tennessee. You all know that all too well. Missouri gets smoked by Texas A&M. Then outside the SEC, you had Michigan losing to Washington, USC losing to Minnesota. What a win for Minnesota, by the way. And then Louisville losing to SMU. By the way, Speaking of Rhett Lashley, right? First home loss of the season for Louisville. And I could be, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they didn't lose a lot of games at home last year either. I feel like I remember their record, but I think I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not even going to say it. But the SEC, when you look around the league, of course, Georgia took care of business against Auburn, 31-13. Ole Miss, I don't know. You guys are going to have to help me with South Carolina. Smoked by 24 points. I don't think the spread was – what was the spread in that game? 10? Please correct me if I'm wrong. But 27-3, their offense couldn't do anything. Ole Miss, I don't know, you guys. I'm everyone slips up in this league at least once, sometimes twice. 27-3, and that was at South Carolina. And then Florida beat UCF 24-13. There you go, Courtney. Courtney Mims, your real team, beating your Tusk Talk with Ty Patreon team by 11. Next week is interesting, you guys. In the SEC alone, I mean, there's some pretty good top 25 matchups. Utah's at Arizona State. That's a 16th overall Utah at a 4-1 Arizona State. Those are a couple Big 12 schools. You got South Carolina at Alabama. That won't be – I mean, come on. What's the spread on that? It's got to be high. It's got to be at least 20 – 21. I was going to say 20. What's the other one? There's of course, you got the Red River Shootout, 2:30 on ABC. 5-0 Texas, 4-1 Oklahoma. Penn State at USC. I don't know. USC just seems soft. And then where's the other one? Arizona at BYU, another Big 12 on Big 12 there. BYU, who's really been kind of the surprise. How about that? They might actually take the Big 12 this year. Are they the best team in the Big 12? It certainly looks that way. Oklahoma State's suspect. Ohio State, Oregon. Wow. Ole Miss, LSU. Iowa State, West Virginia could be interesting. Kansas State at Colorado, a couple 4-1s. Kansas State, number 18. And then Boise State's on the road to take on Hawaii. SEC Players of the Week. Carmona. Fernando Carmona got Co. Of course he got Co. I mean, you know how this works. He got Co. behind him and Gunnar Hansen at Vandy. Listen, it's hard to fault anybody at Vandy. And then Freshman of the Week goes to Malachi Singleton. That's official from the SEC, baby. Oh, yeah. We've also got a game time for LSU. We've got a game time. 6 p.m. Thank God. I know it's just 30 minutes, but it's not 6:30 kickoff. 6 p.m. So, again, October 19th. October 19th. You guys see Arkansas got fined? It was kind of funny to me. Some people didn't realize where that money goes. So let's go over this really quick. Arkansas fined $250,000. Them and Vanderbilt both fined. Vandy was they're a first-time offender, so Vandy's only going to get fined $100,000. I mean, worth it, right? If you're Vanderbilt, worth it. For Arkansas paying $250,000, oh, man. Like, we're sitting here talking about, and I know NIL is different, but you're trying to scrape for NIL money, and you got to pay $250,000. That money, fines are paid to the opposing school. I had some people in a group chat, and these are guys that know football. I mean, these guys know ball, okay? They're pretty good. They know what they're talking about. They had no idea. They thought it went to the SEC for them to hand out to charity or the NCAA. That might be a rule change, actually. I only knew this because someone had mentioned it Saturday. And then when we were discussing it this morning, they were like, hold up. Wait, what? That money's going to Tennessee? Vanderbilt's paying Alabama $100,000? Now, Vandy's like, yeah, we're fine with that, right? Both instances violated the league's access to competition area policy, which states that institutions shall limit access to competition areas to participating student athletes, coaches, officials, support personnel, and properly credentialed or authorized individuals at all times. I've been on the field before kickoff when it was back when I actually went to the games. I've learned my lesson. That won't, as long as I'm doing this, I will not be at the game, or unless I'm participating in an event or something like that. But I won't be at the game, so you won't ever see me on the field again. But I've been out there before a game, and it can be kind of crazy. I can't imagine what that was like. Unbelievable. But again, yeah, the fines go to the opposing school. I honestly had never heard that before. I had no idea. I don't know if that's a new rule. I thought you had to give it to the either the SEC for them to give out to some charity. You know, maybe you could pay like the Arkansas Children's Hospital or something. No, it goes to the opposing school. So you may have just bought them an NIL. You may have just got them a player. Again, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. Appreciate it. We bumped up again, baby. What are we at? 7,300 or something? That's awesome. No, 6,300. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to sub count. Ty, the rest of the season could be very interesting with our toughest games at home. 3 ranked teams could shoot us up if we beat them. Oh, yeah. Okay. For some reason, I read that wrong. I thought, okay. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I agree. They got to stop storming the field, says Steve. Man, but that, listen, my only gripe about that is who you storm against. Tennessee was top 5. I'm fine with that. We were just talking about maybe, Sam, the domino effect of losing to A&M and then possibly losing to Tennessee, going into your bye week, and then losing to LSU, how all of a sudden Mississippi State is that could be what sinks the Pittman boat. And now we're having a completely different conversation because of how meaningful that win was, not just for the program and all that, for Sam, right? So I understand. Like when we stormed the court, when Arkansas beat Auburn in basketball, I realized they were number 1. I'm still on the fence, guys. I've been so back and forth on that, and I know that was a couple of seasons ago, but it's still just – it's Auburn. I don't care where they're ranked. They're Auburn, and that year we found out they were a little suspect. They weren't – I mean, at the time, I get it. It's a big win and all that. That still drives me crazy. You know what I mean? Just drives me crazy.
Ready, hut! Uh-oh. No.
Anyways, okay. The university can afford it every couple of years. Hopefully we get to the point where people storm the field for beating us. Right? Right? Exactly. That's a really good point. If we wait for the opposing team and officials to be off the field. Yeah, but that's not how oh, wait, is that in the books? The other mic? Is that the actual rule? Okay, if that's the actual rule, I didn't know that. Then they need to figure that out. Then. But I don't know how you stop anybody. I really don't. Again, take the poll if you're just joining us. Will Arkansas be ranked at some point this year? You could make the argument, depending on what happens during the bye week, if some other back-end top 25 teams lose, then you could crack into the top 25. Yeah, absolutely. Portal target for Arkansas. I don't know how many of you guys saw this. Alabama, 6'4", 370-pound Alabama defensive tackle Jaheim Otis has opted to take a red shirt and hit the portal this December. It is believed that he is the cousin of current 4-star Arkansas defensive line commit Kevin Otis. Jaheim Otis, who was a part of the 2022 class, who was a highly rated 4-star, was recruited by Arkansas. He was actively recruited by Arkansas not that long ago. To my knowledge, he never visited. Arkansas's D-line could take a little bit of a hit this offseason when you're talking about a couple super seniors. By the way, the kind of year Eric Gregory's having, and he was pretty good in this game, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. I don't know if he has any eligibility left. I know he's at minimum a fifth-year senior. So that would tell me, yeah, he probably does because of the COVID year. He might have another year of eligibility. However, and the same with Kaivi Rose, I think this is Rose's last year. They're both super seniors with the possibility of eligibility, that could run out. Otis's reason for leaving is playing time. That's per Pete Thamel on X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. So yeah, that would be there's no doubt in my mind. I've already reached out to some recruiting folks. We already started talking, like the odds of Arkansas going after him. Of course, they're going to be high. You're already recruiting his cousin. He's already committed. Really good shot here that you're going to need another defensive lineman. In fact, I said going into this fall camp they didn't get enough interior defensive line. I still stand by that. However, the 4 or 5 guys they have rotating have been really good. Not great, but really good. You still got Ian Jaffrard, who we're still kind of waiting to see what he can do. That's a 6'5". That's a behemoth. What a monster. 6'5", according to Arkansas's website, to their roster. He's 6'5", 388. That's a dude right there. Quincy Rhodes, who plays end, would never shock me. He's got some power to him, guys. It would never shock me to see them maybe stunt him inside a little bit. 6'6", about 285 pounds. We still haven't seen – I have seen Saili play. Danny Saili, the transfer they got out of BYU. Caleb James, I've said all along, I like his athleticism for an interior guy, but he's 270 pounds, right? But still a lot of just, you don't know, right? And Eric Gregory, 6'4", 320, could be gone. Having a good year. Cam Ball's technically a redshirt junior. You would probably get him back, assuming he doesn't explode in the second half of this season. There's going to be questions along the defensive line, and there already are going into this year with the possibility of losing a couple of guys. And then, of course, you're always concerned about the players transferring out. But Otis is certainly going to be someone, he and his cousin, they're going to target. From what I understand, just expect it. Arkansas will toss him an offer when they're allowed to, right? When they're allowed to make contact. So, yeah, Saili's another one, 6'3", 375, just a monster. He's got a couple of years, and everything I've been told and what I've seen with my own eyes suggests that maybe another season he can have an impact where he's at least a guy that gets more time. He played a little bit this weekend, I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw him. Or maybe that was an A&M game. So anyways, Arkansas will target him. It just feels like a no kidding kind of thing, right? Let's see here. Ty, do you think Bobby hang around if Pittman is not fired? Well, that's a good question, Charles. That's a good question. I would say yes, but I would also say you never know. Never say never. That's my motto, man. That's my motto, especially during this time, how crazy college football is now. How crazy college football is. It's just you never say never. I don't know. What did Heartbroken? I'm always intrigued when you guys say, agreed, so-and-so. What did he say? We need to make T. Will the highest paid assistant in college football and name him head coach in waiting. We cannot let him get away for anything. I've got so much to say about him. We're getting there. Brett McMurphy. He put out his, I don't know if you follow Action, but Brett McMurphy is one of my favorite college football follows. But he put his bowl projections out. Now, his playoff field, projected college football playoff field is interesting. I don't agree with a couple of schools, but he's got Texas at number 1. I don't think that holds up. I just don't. Again, Texas kind of has that, I don't want to say imposter syndrome, right? I don't want to say pretender. I think they are a playoff team. I don't know that I'm prepared to put them at number 1. I want to see, and here's the thing. They have Oklahoma in the Red River. I'm not impressed with Oklahoma. However, in the Red River shootout, you never know who's going to win that. I mean, it's sometimes there are years where you're like, oh, well, yeah, Oklahoma is overly favored and Texas wins the game, or vice versa. You just never know. I think Oklahoma's adequate, but they're not. That's not like a big. I don't know that they should be ranked. I just don't. But Texas at 1, Ohio State at 2, Miami at 3, Iowa State at 4. Don't like that. Nope. Georgia at 5. Don't know if I like that. Penn State at 6. Oregon at 7. We're going to find something out this weekend about Oregon. Clemson at 8. No. Ole Miss 9. Further back. Alabama 10. I don't know just yet. Their defense, I've been saying this now for a couple of weeks. Their defense is suspect. I don't know. LSU at 11. I don't know that I like that either. Army at 12. Don't know that I like that. I get it. It's Army. It's a military school. I get it. Like, we want to root for them. Everybody just wants one of those schools to get in. I would love it if they got in. I don't know just yet. Yeah, I would probably pull. I mean, Miami has had to come from behind against lesser opponents to get wins. That's usually a sign of teams that have some red flags. I think that's 2 weeks in a row Miami's had to come back from behind against teams you thought they would beat pretty easily. I don't know, man. It feels like half these teams I just don't think will be here. Arkansas does make his list of bowl-eligible teams. He's got Arkansas, of course, against Kansas State. For the love of God, we can't escape the Kansas schools. We can't escape the Texas Bowl. December 31st, that's where he's got Arkansas. I honestly would dig that. It gives you, all of December to get things figured out. It's not quite it's not a January 1st bowl. In fact, I think, is that not between it and the Cheez-It Bowl? Is that not the last bowl before the first? Or am I tripping? Because I know you got a bunch of games on the 31st. I say a bunch. I think you have, let's see, Cheez-It Citrus Bowl on the 31st. Because I feel like that's an 11 a.m. kickoff. I could be getting it all. I'm tripping. That's what I'm doing. You got Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. He's got Syracuse and Arizona. And he's got the Music City Bowl, Missouri and Michigan. And by the way, he also gives point spreads. He would have Kansas State favored over Arkansas. I don't know enough. I don't know. I'd have to do a little deep dive on Kansas State. I'm just going to have to take him at his word. He's got him at -4. He's got A&M -4 over Indiana, who, is still undefeated, right? Big Ten team that's undefeated? I don't know, man. And then there was one other team I thought was a little bit surprising. SMU playing Washington. He's got SMU at -2 on the Holiday Bowl. Oh, he's got Tennessee in the Las Vegas Bowl, which is December 27th. And then he would have Tennessee favored at almost 8 points at 7.5. So, yeah, Arkansas. He's got Arkansas and another damn Kansas school. You know what? That feels accurate because why not? It's a Kansas school. Just throw them in there. Oh, my goodness. Mercy me. We want Texas, ? I made it. You may begin. Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we already talked about Otis. People hopping in. See, people wonder why it takes a couple minutes before we get into the SEC stuff, or before we get into the topics. It's because you get people that come in a little bit later, and I try to give them a little bit of time. It drives the people who come back or who weren't here during the live. It makes them a little nuts. However, what I've been trying to do is give you guys timestamps. I don't do it on every live stream, but I try to do it especially on shows where I feel a little bit better about how the format or how well the show flowed, right? Going from conversation or from topic to topic. Yeah, we got a lot to say about T-Will. Stick around. I would like to see a rematch between us and Oklahoma State, says Eagle. I couldn't agree more. I want to get them back. That feels like a game you had, especially now. Especially now. It feels like a game you have no business losing. I don't care where they played. I don't care. I don't care. Have no business losing to Okie Light. They're garbage. They're garbage. They're not good. They're not good. SEC with strength of schedule, no, they'd be like a 5-7 team. They might get a couple of SEC wins. And no, I don't think it'd be Arkansas. Okay, no, we have to say that it would be because they did technically already play them and beat them. But okay, whatever. A rematch, give me Arkansas. On a rematch, give me Arkansas. You just never know, though, right? Hey, don't forget, your boy's been nominated for 2 awards. Right there's the link. You got to scroll down. I'm taking on Bo Mattingly. I think Chuck and Bo's show in the Best Sports podcast. Yep, the Hog Pod with Bo Mattingly is on that list. And then the Best Male Host. Again, these are all Arkansas podcasts. And I'm at the bottom. Of course, they put me at the bottom on the Best Male Hosted. You got to go towards the bottom. Am I on the bottom in the sports category? I am. Well, I'm second. The Hog Pod with Bo Mattingly is at the bottom. Let's see if I can go toe-to-toe with Bo Mattingly. With the Chuck and Bo show. Yeah, so I'm there. 2 categories. Go support your boy. Michael Kerper says, yeah, A&M is legit. A&M does, Elko just looks like he's getting the job done, right? You just got to give respect. He's getting the job done, man. I thought that was a pretty good hire. Damn it. Turns out to be true so far. All right, let's get in to Arkansas, Tennessee. Did we cover? Hang on, let me double check, make sure we got everything. Bowl projection. Yeah. Arkansas, Tennessee, and yeah, coach. Yeah, coach. Yeah, coach. Why not? We'll put on the other chain for now. We gave him the big bad gold, the big baddie right there. Can you see it? It's a little, my fingerprints are all over it. He got that big bad boy. I'm not putting that on again. That thing is like 6 pounds. You see my fingerprints all over it. That's brought to you by Direct Service Overhead. DSO. That's the post-game player of the game, the MVP gold chain. I don't know. We call it it's just the post-game chain. That's what we should call it. The post-game gold chain or post-game chain. But he got it. He did it. What a game plan. This is from my guy, Richard Davenport. This is what he said on Twitter. The Vols were averaging the nation's best 54 points a game. And by the way, that's after playing 2 P3 schools. 566 total yards of offense, ranked 3rd nationally, while their 290 yards rushing ranked 4th. They scored 14 points, had 332 yards of total offense, and 176 yards Saturday night. Nico came into this game completing 69.3% of his passes. He only completed 57% of his throws Saturday night. In SEC play, 16.3 points per game is what Arkansas is allowing right now. 353 yards per game, which, 10 years ago that would have been like, you got to do better. Now that's like, okay, all right, you're doing okay. 202 yards passing per game and 151 yards rushing. They forced just 5 turnovers, however. Pay that man. Pay him. Do not let T-Will. Deke Adams has got to get some love. Like that whole staff, you got to give them some love. You're already paying Petrino a lot of money. T-Will was I don't want to say an unknown hire, but he wasn't like the big named hire. 2 years later, he's doing a hell of a job. It's not perfect. They've still got areas they got to clean up. but it has been very impressive what we've seen from them. I would like to maybe hit on some transfer guys. I think this year it's going to be, it's going to be big every year, right? But when you talk about we were talking earlier about the interior defensive lineman, of course, Landon Jackson. Now you talk about the ends. You're going to lose Landon Jackson. You're going to have to find some replacements. And again, you're going to expect somebody to come out of the or go into the portal, I should say. I would say when you look at this game, when you go back and look at Arkansas and Tennessee, the only thing that kind of drove me nuts was that Arkansas got into the red zone. This is on the offense, not on T. Will and the defense. The offense got into Tennessee's red zone 5 times. Scored on 4 out of 5. That's a good number. However, it's not so great when you look at the scoreboard, and that's only 19 points. Now, to be fair, we learned something. I think Tennessee's defense is legit. I think their offense, we may have shown a blueprint as to how to slow and contain that offense. Again, Arkansas's ability to get pressure, and that was one of the second half adjustments, was their defensive front. They went to a more multiple look, and they stayed. I say that. They went to more of a multiple look in the second quarter, and then they stuck primarily with what looked like just a 3-man front, kind of rushing maybe a 4th and a 5th. You didn't really know where the blitz was coming from. Nico was overwhelmed. Coverage confused him. They did some things they didn't show on film so far. T. Will had 5 days to put this game plan in. It's like you feel vindicated giving him the gold chain. When you talk about having just 5 days to do this install like that, it's a pretty big switch. But to be fair, it's not unheard of. Teams do this. But it was clear he saw something on film with Oklahoma, and I would love to hear T. Will's take on what more he saw in that Oklahoma film. The Oklahoma film could be what the UAB film has done for teams against Arkansas. For Tennessee. So now Tennessee's going to have to figure out how to combat that, and I think they will. Tennessee's going to be fine. I think they're, in all honesty, I would have no problem if you wanted to swap them with several of those teams in the top 12 when you're talking about the playoffs. So, yeah, very impressed. Very impressed with the game plan. But 5 attempts in the red zone to come away with just 19 points. That's not atrocious, right? You did score 4 out of 5 attempts. Tennessee doesn't give up easy points. You outgain them by nearly 100 yards of offense, which, again, in this day and age isn't much. Or I shouldn't say it isn't much, but it's not what it once was. But 431 total yards, holding them to, like we mentioned earlier, 332 yards. You can't go in deep enough about how huge that is when you're talking about momentum and moving forward. You almost kind of hate that you have a bye week coming up because, you played so well, and now you gotta, now you gotta wait, and you hope this doesn't hurt the momentum. But, however, Pittman coming out of bye weeks is what, undefeated? So that matters. If you look at this Texas A&M or Tennessee and Arkansas game, one of the things that stands out when you go into some of the deeper numbers, the stop numbers are really good. And what a stop is not just a tackle like at the line of scrimmage. This is a PFF thing. This is PFF language. Defensive stops are, for them, or what they call stop, it's a defensive stop or a tackle that constitutes a failure for the offense. And Arkansas has not been real high on this number. In this game alone, the number's 25. Now, I wish I could give you further explanation as to what stop means. I've tried kind of doing a deep search. I went down a Reddit rabbit hole, and I don't know how you come away with 25 unless you're giving credit to maybe a couple of players. It's almost like the sack thing, right? Like if 2 guys hit the quarterback, if they get a sack, well, then that's 0.5 to each. Maybe that's what's happening here. Instead of giving 0.5, they give a point to each, which makes sense. When you're talking about a number like that, an analytic like that. But 25 in that game alone. However, the thing that really stands out is it was definitely the hurries. And again, this is another category where PFF their numbers are always a little bit like crazy. They're saying Arkansas got 13 of these total hurries. Arkansas's website did not have that at all, anywhere near that. Trying to pull what their website says. But last I saw, it wasn't that many. It was nowhere near that amount. They have Arkansas on quarterback hurries. Where are you? I had you pulled up. It was like 4. And I knew that had to be higher. I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it now. This is what happens when you close out all your damn tabs. See, the more tabs you have up on your screen, it slows the computer down, so you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Anyways, it wasn't near that many. So PFF really likes what Arkansas did on defense. Now, if you look at their overall grades, like your highest graded defender was Steven Dix, who had a 79.4 overall score. He had a sack. His pass rush was 78.1. He had 5 tackles. Landon Jackson had a hell of a game. He was recorded for 3 stops, 5 tackles, and 6 hurries. And when you watch that game, that feels about right. That he at least, I thought I counted about 4. They've got him down for 6. Arkansas they found a way defensively to dominate that line of scrimmage. And that has been the biggest question mark for Arkansas this year. Can they actually win on defense at the LOS, at the line of scrimmage? Can they stop the run? Can they plug gaps? Can they apply pressure? Can they contain these dual threat quarterbacks? Can they give the secondary? Can they close that gap for the secondary? Can they rack up hurries and quarterback hits? By the way, they only got 1 recorded hit, which a hit is a little bit different than a sack, right? A hit is it's contact without sacking the quarterback, unless I'm understanding that wrong. But Larry Worth got some snaps, by the way. It's kind of crazy when you look at this. Steven Dix got 48 snaps. Kaivi Rose got in on 23, and I swear, yeah, Danny Saili did get 4 snaps. Okay, I was right. And he graded out pretty well, actually. His tackle grade was 72.4. However, his defensive grade not as high, about 70. And here's the other thing, going back, let's switch over to the offense really quick. Taylon Green was playing a hell of a game. I know he missed some guys. His ball placement still struggled a little bit. I get that. The ball placement wasn't always where you wanted it, and he still was throwing behind guys. But he actually, his clean pocket completion percentage was 13 of 15. That's almost 87%. Under pressure, his average is like 30%, 32, 33%, or at least it was coming into this game. He was 50% here, 6 of 12. When blitzed, he completed 73% of his throws. He was 8 of 11 when blitzed. And those are off dropbacks. They didn't throw as many screens, according to PFF. I thought I counted at least 3. They've got 2. They've got 2 design screens down, which he was obviously perfect there, 2 for 2. But out of play action, he wasn't as great. He was 3 of 7, 43%. That's all right, though. He still graded out okay, 72.5. His deep ball throws graded out insanely high. 99.3. That is the highest I have ever seen a quarterback who's thrown the ball at least 3 times deep. They give him a 99.3. He was 4 of 6. So that was 22% of his throws. 4 of 6. Completion percentage at 67. However, the yardage was for 101. They say, and if this is right, this is insane, and I need to go back and watch this. They're claiming that both of his drops were off these deep ball throws, so he could have been 6 of 6. We know Centennial dropped one. He could have been 6 for 6 on deep balls at 100%. And they give him the adjustment percentage at 100. So 33% of his deep balls were dropped, and yet he still completed 66%. 4 of 6. Again, if this is correct, and that's balls thrown 20-plus yards. I don't know, you guys. I think Green kind of ate. You guys are tagging me. That always makes me a little nervous. Why am I being tagged? I'll take a look at that later. We got a super chat. Let me pull this up. $20 super chat. Bold prediction. This is from Champions. The Hogs will run the table at 10-2 and get into the playoffs on strength of schedule. Whoa. They will win the remaining home games, all of them, in caps, he says. Oh, boy. That's your third super chat, by the way. That's awesome. Appreciate the $20 super chat. That is very cool. Thank you so much. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. QB Spotlight. Hey, he's in here backing me up. It is accurate. Both the drops were on deep throws. Hey, there's my boy. I have not rewatched the game. I started rewatching it. I got a little bit through the first quarter, and then I just wasn't able to do it. We got another $10 super chat here. Let me pull this up. Trying to enjoy this win, but all these geriatrics in this Arkansas. Oh, my God. Oh, man. I haven't even finished. I have not proofread this. So I don't know what I'm in for here. Trying to enjoy this win, but all these geriatrics in this Arkansas Facebook page are hopping on my pumpernickel because I said Sam Pittman needed to go. I never win. Oh my God. And you guys thought the call-ins were crazy. I'm having a hard time keeping it together here. Appreciate QB Spotlight for backing me up on that, man. It's good to see you in here. His deep balls were NFL-type throws, and 2 drops were on those deep balls. Wow. Now I really got to go back and rewatch that. Oh, my God. Oh, man. All right. I hope I live to be a geriatric, grumpy son of a bitch on Facebook griping about them kids, you know? King Command says, Ty, is it better if LSU wins or loses against Ole Miss? Does a win give them momentum against us, or does a loss give them a hangover? I don't know, man. I have no idea. I mean, this is what I will say is that Sam is I'm 99% positive he's undefeated coming out of buys. Freaking geriatrics don't understand the chain. They don't understand the chain. Are they in here griping about the chain? Did I miss it? Hey, I want to go back to what our boy said though here. Champions with that $20 super chat. Do any of you agree with this? Do you think Arkansas can run the table? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not there. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I do appreciate the super chats, including Garrett Lampkin's super chat. Does anyone else, is that a possibility, or is that a little bit too much Kool-Aid drinking? You guys tell me. The only way I see that this is possible, number one, you don't have Alabama and Georgia on your schedule. You got LSU at home. You've got Mississippi State in Starkville, which, I mean, we know anything can happen. I mean, my God, who would have thought Vandy would beat Alabama? But I still would think Arkansas over that. Ole Miss could be suspect. They could actually have some issues. Texas, there's just not enough there for me to say that they're for sure number one. Their most impressive win is against Michigan, who, I mean, they're 4-2. They just went on the road and lost to Washington. They struggled against a so-so USC team at home, and they barely got by Minnesota. They only beat Fresno State 30-10. I realize that's a 20-point lead, but if I remember right, that was a pretty hefty. I think Michigan was favored in that game by a lot more, which is kind of crazy to think. 20 points, right? And I don't think they've done that well against the spread. Talking about Michigan, so that's like Texas's biggest win. That was their biggest win. It was in the big house. I'll give them that. It was in the big house. They're going to beat – listen, I'm going to take them over Oklahoma. Even though anything can happen. They do have Georgia. They got to go to Vandy, Florida, and then at Arkansas. So really – and then you got to go – eventually you got to go play at Missouri, another place you've struggled at. I haven't seen enough yet to tell me that they're going to go 10-2. I'm still – like, I hear the people who are like, listen, this was one win. This is our biggest win. This is probably Pittman's biggest win, really, when you talk about just rank, no matter where Tennessee ends up falling throughout the season. I just don't know that I've seen enough that would tell me they can win even 9 games. Like, I'm probably now in that. I feel very confident they're going to get to 6 or 7 wins. I feel very confident in that. Where I wasn't there a couple of weeks ago. Hell, I wasn't there last week. I still have questions about some of the game management stuff. I still have questions about, just some of the things that we've seen where they come out playing uninspired football in the second half. They were ready for this. This was under the lights. This was a big deal. This was a big game. These guys were feeling it. And the other thing, too, that I like about this team that I don't think the last 2 years that they had, these guys are playing for each other. I am getting in that when you've got that kind of vibe and camaraderie going on the sidelines in the locker room, good things can happen. So, again, what's the motto now? Never say never. However, I haven't seen enough that would suggest they could even get to 9 wins. I want to see them string these wins together, which means coming out of your bye week, taking care of business against LSU. We know that's been a game that Arkansas's lost, close. LSU's got the edge there lately. At Mississippi State, anything can happen in Starkville. Even though Mississippi State is 0-2 in conference play and 1-4 overall, you better take care of business against Mississippi State, or we're going to have a whole different conversation. But I would take them. I definitely take them over Mississippi State. Ole Miss, right? So, I mean, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, and Missouri. Those are the teams that, that's what you have left if you want to make a run into the playoffs. You can't lose another game. And then you got to somehow win. You got to win the SEC championship. Well, you may not. I don't know. I guess it depends on kind of how things end up at the end of the year. But, yeah, game at a time, people. Game at a time. Did I get another super chat? Hold on. Oh, Lord. Do I need to proofread it? It's John, so I better. Hang on. Okay. All right. We're good. He says, there's not a team on our schedule that I don't think we can't beat. I could see 10-2. I said they win 8-9 preseason. To be fair, John, I really do think you pick them about 9 wins every year. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, man. Country boy on that moonshine. I didn't even see him in here. He says quarterback is the weak link. Well, he's certainly playing better lately. He's throwing the ball better. They actually gave him time this last week against Tennessee, and you saw what he can do with a clean pocket when he settles in a little bit. But I do agree there's been some problems with him. He's had one far better game, They didn't turn the ball over, and look what they did. They beat a top 5 team. It was at home, under the lights in Fayetteville. It was electric from what I understand. Curtis Johnson says, I said 9 to 10 wins this year. Okay. Ty, the feeling is back, says Ty Brannon. Yeah. Jody C says TG is learning. Listen, there is something to be said about Bobby Petrino quarterbacks, and I'm going to be real with you. I do think, and I've given this a lot of thought, even before the Tennessee game, especially if you get to 6 wins, maybe I might be eating my words by the end of the year, but I think the best thing for Arkansas, get to 6 wins, bring Pittman back. God, I know that's going to piss some of you off. Bring Pittman back and bring everybody back that's eligible. Bring Bobby back. Do your damnedest to get T. Will to stick around. Guys, I am all in on T. Will, and I have been. I like the guy. The only pushback I give to some people is when they say he's the for sure next head coach. I've never – listen, we should have learned something when Kendall Briles was here and you guys kept telling me he was the coach in waiting. I kept telling you I don't know. I definitely don't know that I see that. I don't know that he's ready to be a P3 head coach yet. I do think he's going to be a damn good one when he gets there. He's a player's coach. You see what he could do with a limited amount of time. And let's be real, it's not the most loaded roster. You saw what he did in his game plan approach with Tennessee. He took care of business. They still had some issues on defense last year. Let's not act like they were perfect. They were not. They still finished in the back end in the country and in the SEC in certain categories on defense. But we saw improvement. We saw big improvement on the defense. I think he did far better than what Barry Odom would have done had he been here for a 4th year. Absolutely. I do think his ceiling is high, and I do think he will be a head coach one day at a big school. I think he strikes me as that kind of coach. This guy's got such potential to be something special, man. I knew in the back of my mind when I gave him the gold chain, baby, on Saturday night in that postgame show, I didn't have any. Sometimes I'll do that, and as I'm putting the chain on, I'm like, am I making the right call? I had no hesitation when I put that thing on. Not really. Not in the back of my mind, I didn't. I did, no way. I was all in. I think he will be great. I just don't think the timing is there, and I don't think he's the coach in waiting. And I don't even know if that would be the right answer or not if the bottom falls out on this team this year and they're looking for a head coach come December. Right now, I do think he would be kind of an experimental hire. However, he could still benefit you, right? My thing is, would a SEC or Big Ten athletic director roll that kind of dice on an experimental hire, on a guy that was at a small school for a little while as a defensive coordinator? What was he there? 2 years? And then he's only been in Arkansas for 2 years. He's a younger guy. It would be a dice roll, but I think it probably would still work out. Hell, I don't know. Megan says T. Will is my hero. I know. You talk about him often, Megan. I know you didn't like that I said that he. I think some of you get it twisted. Some of you think I don't like him. I'm excited about the guy. I really am. I think he will be a really good head coach one day. Ty, he is ready. We cannot let him leave, says Heartbroken Hog. Man, I mean, listen. First off, if Sam wins enough to keep his job, if he wins 7 or 8 games, they're going to give him an extension. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. So then the conversation is are you able to keep a coach like T. Will here long enough? Maybe that's another 2-3 years. Can you keep him from going elsewhere? And it's just not real common anymore. It's not that he doesn't, then you start then things get a little hairy. It's about whether or not does he deserve the opportunity? And I would say he does. The job he's done with turning that defense around has been great. So far this year, it's been really good. Tennessee, it was one game where you were really impressed with the game plan. But he's got to do this week in and week out, right? You're going to start facing more and more injury issues. What happens when a couple of those key interior guys get a little banged up, and now you're having to reach into your 2s and 3s for help, and now all of a sudden your run defense is gone, and you're giving up 160, 175 yards a game on the ground. Or, I mean, we've seen some resiliency in the secondary with all the injuries for sure. I don't want to get lost in the weeds on the T. Will stuff. Listen, I'm a fan. I think he's going to be great one day. I'm simply saying the timing, I just don't see him sticking around long enough to be named a head coach at Arkansas. And I think his next jump would likely be at a Group of 5 school, like Traylor when he went to UTSA. Of course, he was a positions coach, but I could see something like that where he goes to a Group of 5 school for 2 or 3 years. Rhett Lashley was an offensive coordinator, and look what he's doing at SMU. Of course, now SMU's in a bigger conference, but I could see something like that, and then him work his way up to a bigger school. I could be wrong. Maybe someone does roll the dice on him, and I wouldn't penalize them at all if they did. Auburn is firing Freeze. Auburn isn't firing Freeze for another 3 years. I think they're kind of locked in on him for a minimum of 3 years. I could be wrong on that, but I think if I remember right, I stumbled upon an Auburn Twitter timeline that it seemed to me like they're going to be with him for at least another couple of years. Hey dummy, he can't be head coach. Paperwork boy. Huh? I'm going to assume Rico's talking to somebody in chat. The Red River rivalry going to be tough for Texas. Haven't beat Oklahoma in a minute. I think this year they're a better team. But you're right. You never know. You never know. T. Will could just make a lateral move like Tracy Rocker did back in the day. Well, that's an old school name. Haven't heard that name in a minute. The people that made the rule saying he can always change that. It isn't a commandment. What? Ty, don't you think there's any shot Sam retires after a good year? John Neighbors has talked about it being possible. I think you'd have to be able to read Sam's mind. I saw where Sam's complaining about his hip and everyone's like, oh, see, he's retiring. I don't get the vibe at all that he wants to retire. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, especially when things are going good. I mean, you could tell he's feeling it, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe after – I definitely don't think after this year would he retire. No, I think he wants to coach. Bobby won't be our head coach. No, I don't think he will. In fact, I think Bobby loves being an OC. He loves being an OC. And I don't think he wants to move on from that. Arkansas could be in a good spot next season, says Angel. If you're able to get these guys back, if you could talk some folks out of the portal, if maybe someone gets a back-end draft grade, like a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft grade, and they have some eligibility left, there's going to be questions at wide receiver. There's going to be questions along the defensive line. You got to be able to – you got to crush it in the portal, but not real hardcore. Gonna have to do. I don't know. The skill position, wide receiver feels better because you're in a Petrino offense and it's under his command. But I still think, like with eligibility, and I'm trying to think. I think Tesla. I think this is his last year. I could be wrong. They're gonna have to make some moves, but get guys back, get Sam back, get Petrino back another year. I mean, I know you guys, especially those of you that are old enough to remember, that's what the Petrino thing is all about. Year one is not an instant fix typically. You see that big jump from year one to year two. So we'll have to wait and see, right? We'll have to wait and see if they're able to do that, if they can convince these guys to not go anywhere, if they can convince them to stick around. TG's quarterback rating was at – his rating was at 71% this past game. When he has time, he can be good. He is the answer right now. I agree with that. We went over those numbers just a little bit ago. We just went over those numbers. His clean pocket passing percentage was 87, 13 out of 15. And then even under pressure, his numbers went up compared to previous weeks where they're low to mid 30%. He was 50%. He was 6 of 12 under pressure. Dun, 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 dun. When blitzed, he was 73%. He was 8 of 11. PFF grade at 90.7. Yeah, we went over all this. Some of you might not have been here for that. His play action number needs to climb a little bit. His play action number was a little low, 3 of 7, 43% there for just 28 yards. Would love to see that number go up. It almost seems like when he does play action, he's going to do that weird thing where he rolls to the left, where he's kind of flipping around. I don't know if that can't be something Petrino's coaching him to do. He was 2 for 2 on screens. And again, those deep balls, QB Spotlight was in here. He talked about it. Those 2 deep balls were the other 2 incompletions were drops. Again, that's 4 of 6 on deep balls. He has the arm to complete those deep throws, man. And you've got some speed in these receivers that can go and get that ball. I really, like, passing-wise, this was his best game as a complete quarterback. And it didn't even he didn't run the ball well. He was not effective. Tennessee did a great job of containing him, and he was still effective with his arm. And you go back to those 3rd down and longs. He was fantastic. Wasn't perfect. Yeah, he missed Teslaw, who was running down the field wide open. He's going to miss those. All right? Guess what? Everybody does. For Green, it's going to be a little bit more common than you would like. Arkansas opened that game up with 16 plays. They went 74 yards. Took 9 minutes and 12 seconds off the clock. All for a field goal. Thankfully, your defense just was locked in. For Tennessee, punt on their first drive. Second drive, punt. Third drive, punt. Their fourth drive, turned it over on downs. They didn't score until the second half, and that's where they got all their points in the third quarter, 14 points. You were concerned, down 14-3. Arkansas's next drive, punt. Then Tennessee scores again. They've now scored on their first 2 drives. And I've said before, one of my biggest concerns with Arkansas is coming out in the third quarter and laying an egg. And it certainly looked like that was going to be the case. Your offense was not helping you out. The defense was starting to look gassed. And then Arkansas was able to score. And then your defense got a punt. Your defense would force Tennessee to punt 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of their next 5 drives all were punts. You talk about your defense responding. Arkansas's offense responded. 4 plays, 59 yards. Yeah, Arkansas played. Defensively, they responded. They started off slow. And that's the other thing, too, that you want to see from both sides of the ball. As a team, you trail now 14-3. You don't hang your heads. That's the one thing I have noticed about Pittman coach teams. Rarely do they just throw in the towel. Now, last year we did see that. We did see some of the players let go of the rope. But up until last year, that was kind of an anomaly. It feels like these guys are always on board. They want to play for their coach. And now, especially, they got a staff that they really like. Yes, they were there last year. I get it, but this team is bought in. They found a way to get the win, and they did it, man. Tennessee ends the game. 7 plays. They go 59 yards in a minute 17. You were concerned, and then their quarterback, who rolls out, ends up out of bounds, doesn't throw the ball, and the clock expired before he went out of bounds. Just a hell of a game, man. I mean, it really was. Arkansas fought. It showed a lot of grit. Gotta love it. We have another super chat. Go Hogs, Woo Pig Suey. This is from Kelly Williams. Thanks, Ty, for your coverage. So glad we already set matched last year. Yeah, so you're right. Arkansas's got as many wins as they did all of last year. You are correct. Looking forward to us putting together a winning streak or winning streak something after the bye week like 2 years ago. Woo Pig Suey. I appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you for the super chats, guys. That's awesome. I appreciate you. Don't forget to take the poll. Will Arkansas be ranked at some point this year? 83% of you say yes. We'll go ahead and end the poll here. There you go. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this live show. Again, shout out to the sponsor, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts. Now I'm getting DMs. Oh, boy. What's going on? Better than best results. Affordable outcomes. Give Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, a phone call. 501-244-3667. Make sure I didn't miss any. I'll be storming the shops to get a bunch of cute gear. Oh, yeah. Megan's going to be in town for the Tennessee game. Yeah. Can't wait for Texas game. My bad. I've got Tennessee on the brain. T. Will should be promised the head coaching job after Pittman, if Pittman gets fired or retires. Yeah, again, listen, if you're talking about this year, if things get bad enough that you're firing Pittman, one would have to imagine that the defense probably is a part of that, right? As far as like how you got to where you're at. I don't see that happening if he's getting fired. If he's retiring, let's say if that was an actual scenario, I don't see them. I wouldn't see them going after T. Will. I just don't. Unless you whiff on some coaches, then maybe you do. And listen, I would have to cross that bridge if we ever got to it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think he's getting fired, and I don't think he's going to retire. All right? I just don't think that'll happen. T. Will maybe can go to Pine Bluff. Oh, he's better than that. T. Will's going to get a good job. He'll get a good job. I'm telling you guys, we're going to be talking about him as a head coach somewhere. I mean, yeah, if you got 2 more years out of him and your defense just continued on this awesome trend, what we saw against Tennessee, and they continued that path, recruited really well, was stopping teams like that, then hell yeah, you better make him in a couple of years. You better make him your guy. Okay, Ty, but my scenario is if Pittman retires after 3 good seasons, are you saying in the next 3 years, Paul? Which only happens with good defense. Then T. Will is in the yeah, 3 years from now, sure. I'll yield to that, but here's the problem, Paul. How often does that happen? Rarely, if ever, in college football. If you're talking about 3 years from now, you remember when you guys were trying to convince me that Barry Odom that Kendall Briles was the coach in waiting, and I kept telling you that's rare. I don't see that happening. It's the same thing with T. Will. In fact, he's actually younger than Kendall Briles. Again, never say never, Paul, but I just don't see that happening. I think someone's going to come along and snatch him up. Maybe not this year. Maybe this year. I don't know. Maybe see him at Miami. Well, Miami's pretty good right now. I don't know that they're making any changes just yet. But I do think your number one goal this year, assuming Arkansas can win enough games to keep Sam around, which I think will be 6 for Hunter Yurachek. I think the number should be 7, but it'll probably be 6. You need to open up that checkbook to keep that staff, keep them here. Based on what we've seen so far, now there's been a couple of games this year where I was a little iffy, and there's been some moments about the defense where I'm just like, I don't know, man. but they just continue to show like they still and you got to think about it. Hudson Clark, who barely got to play, he's been injured. Braxton's out. Danico Slaughter was banged up. We know they've got some guys playing that are a little hurt, and they're still playing at a high level against a really good team in Tennessee. However, I think it was as much the personnel as much as it was the game plan. In fact, I would give the edge to the game plan for Tennessee, and that's what makes T. Will that much better. He's able to – you may not have – and it's not like Tennessee's way ahead of you in terms of talent, but you may not have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State level talent. So that it's all down to the game planning. It's all about what you're doing in the offseason, talking about strength conditioning. Of course, that's not really on him as much as it is the strength and conditioning coach. But getting these guys prepared to go in for war, we've seen them do that this year. We have seen them collapse a little bit, but we've also seen the offense continuously put them in bad situations, and they've gotten out of it by either holding someone to a field goal or something or a drive resulting in no plays or no yards and no points. So, yeah, they need to do everything in their power to pay that man and keep him around. I'm all about keeping T. Will around for sure. Head coach. It's going to it'd take him probably a couple more years, right? And again, he has to continue on that path. Who is the player in the portal? Of course, Arky 56 comes in a little late, wanting all the details. You got to go back and watch, Dad. You got to go back and watch. Hey, check this out really quick. Check this out. If you're still in chat, watch Arky. Hey, look who it is. It's your nephew. It's our boy, Mr. David. I got him and they're at the – look at that. Man, that had to be fun. That's awesome. I'm glad he got to experience that. That's really cool. Saw him at the Fayetteville game when they had Texas High come into town. He's probably already gone. I give him hell because I tell him, like, Dad, you hop in and hop out. Oh, he's still here. There he is. There he is. Dad, it's Jaheim Otis is the name of the Alabama defensive player. He's the cousin of current Arkansas commit, 4-star defensive line commit, Kevin Otis. So just to fill you in. See, now you don't have to go back and watch. All right, that is going to do it. I appreciate all you guys. Again, on your way out, please like, share, subscribe. Obviously, there's no game this weekend. I'm going to try and get some guests lined up this week. If not, you probably won't see me again until maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We'll maybe get lined up for some Saturday action. If there's any news to discuss, we'll talk about it then. But yeah, all right. I will see you guys later on, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll see you then.